everyone, and welcome back to the Dog Show Drive with Wayne and Will. I'm Wayne Cavanaugh.
You are Wayne Cavanaugh, and I'm Will Alexander.
Indeed, you are.
Not quite
This
as
week,
smooth, but I'm still Will Alexander.
so this week we're going to talk about the differences between Canadian and American Kennel Club judging processes and what that might mean in your ring. Also, a wonderful Toller specialty in Ocala, Florida that I attended, and some great little shows in Springfield, Illinois. All that and more right here on the Dog Show Drive. Well, good morning, young William. We are a bunch of rambling men, aren't we?
We are just travel.
Absolutely.
Glamorous life.
We just stopped in to see what condition our condition was in. Remember that song? Probably not. Anyway, yeah, we've been all over the world and back. You have been to, where'd you go this weekend?
I was in Springfield, Illinois.
Oh, those shows are cool. That
Yeah,
building.
Merle Taylor shows. They're wonderful shows. Beautiful site, beautiful fairgrounds. Just
Yeah, I really liked it.
wide open, lots of light, lots of room. I had the friendliest people. It was so much fun talking to everybody. They're all happy that we were there. I was there to show Irish setters the specialties and my beagle with me. And it was just a nice show. And I rented a house right in Springfield, so it was 4 minutes away. It was wonderful. It was a good time, and it was a relaxed atmosphere. And they had a spot for a silent auction and whatnot for the Irish Setter Club, and I won something, and I was up there having coffee with people and breakfast, and it was fun. We had a good time.
Yeah, I like those shows.
Oh yeah, they're wonderful shows. I was talking to Merle earlier on. He was a little upset about his entry. His entry was down this year. Apparently, another show in Chicago area, I think it was Grays Lake, changed or got date change. I'm not sure exactly. So it bit into their entry. It was still a good time, and there was some really beautiful dogs there. It was fun to watch. I had a good time. So, although I'll tell you, one morning I sent you a picture. I was the first one in the building.
I saw that.
Yeah.
By a lot.
Yeah, I was there. I could have stood at the door and said, "Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon."
Well, George Ward would have been very proud of you.
In the handler's defense, a lot of them were working out of their trucks. They just had tables inside. And they pulled their trucks up into a park, which is great. I never see that at fairgrounds where they let you pull your trucks outside the door, set up your X pens, and then you just come in. And so then that there was defense there, but there was also some dogs were in there.
Well, the thing you said, such a nice relaxed atmosphere. I did it 2 years ago. Same thing, the Irish Setter thing and some breeds, and it's a wonderful laid back vibe. And that little mezzanine where you have your lunch and little lights that are all around the top of that building, little skylights. It's such a cool place.
Oh, it's a great site.
Yeah. And it's always a good turnout for Irish Setters. And that's true when those shows in Illinois, Northern Illinois, ended up on the same dates, it's hurt their entry. And once again, it's probably, I don't know, what's it, 3 hours away, 4 hours away, but it's still
tough because you understand one degree of it because AKC is still making their money. It's just hurting the clubs. So I don't know.
It is, and there were dogs that were entered that, heaven forbid, they didn't win the first day, so they drove up the road to Grays Lake.
Yeah,
to judges who
never to be seen again.
Yeah, and they went up there for judges who they absolutely knew 100% that they were going to win the group or whatever. Yeah, that's the way it goes.
I the first day there was people there, and I thought, oh, and then maybe it was a figment of my imagination. Maybe they weren't here.
Need more ribbons. Must drive. Need more ribbons.
Oh my gosh! And the drive, it's about a 10-hour drive for me.
Yeah.
And but it was a nice drive. We had some nice weather. Jill had flown in Tori Polly from the East Coast, she has a couple of our Irish setters, and she's a nice young girl, and she just wanted to experience. Like, she shows in the Maritimes, and I guess she has shown in America, but she wanted to go to the specialties with us, and so we had a good time. Really.
Yeah.
I used to show
Wonderful.
Piper for her mother, so
Oh, cool.
yeah.
Very cool. Small world, but I wouldn't want to paint it,
I
Will.
wouldn't want to
I want
paint
to paint it.
it.
Did I even talk about the Newfoundland conference,
No,
Newfoundland
we
conference?
haven't spoken. Couldn't do last week because we were both on the road right away. So
Ramblin' Men. I was
that's
home for a
right.
day when I left for Florida for the Toll National, which is another great topic. But that conference in Canada was just, it was really special. It was just really special. For 46 judges to want to fly all the way to Newfoundland for this conference was just really heartwarming. I remember CKC Tracy said, well, I don't think you get it more than 6 or 8 being such a remote location. But not only did they get good, Bob and Elaine Whitney were there. I mean, real Wendy Paquette was there.
Yeah.
Really highly respected judges.
Established judges were there. They wanted to, and
Sure.
the presentations were wonderful. Yours were unbelievable. I so enjoyed yours. It was the way you can just pick up and just go off in a different direction and make total sense. And it brought everybody back to earth, what you were talking about. It made a huge, I loved your root breed some presentation.
Yeah,
I loved it.
that was well received. The people were great, but all the presentation, you were wonderful. You had a really good part up there. And it was you and me and who else?
David
Uh,
Kellen, Wendy Anderson,
yeah.
a local English setter woman. I can't remember her name now. Isn't that awful? And she was nervous, but she did a good job. But the best part is she brought some dogs in, and those for being really the only breeder in Newfoundland, English setter
Mhm.
breeder, you'd be happy to have those dogs in your ring.
Oh, you sure would.
Yeah.
And how about the labs that Mike Woods
Oh,
bought?
Michael Woods in his lab presentation.
Oh,
That was amazing.
man,
Yep.
as good as I've
Labrador.
seen. As good as I've seen. Yeah, Labrador. Uh,
Labrador. Yeah.
Newfoundland rhymes with understand and Labrador. Uh, we learned a lot about the language, and we did. And I got screeched in. You've been screeched
I'd been
before,
screeched in before, yeah.
and it's of course he is you. What did you say?
Oh, yeah, make me think
Of
about it
course he
again.
is. You old cock and may your jib pole never drop or something.
Indeed, I is, you old cock, and may your big jib draw or something like that.
Never drop. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Victor. I don't know what the hell. But you say this thing they make you say. First of all, you have to wear a big yellow fisherman's cap
Yeah, like a
backward.
Captain Highliner hat that has
Yeah,
the, the,
yeah.
the drain on the back.
And and they give you rum, and I think it's rum. I think they just scoop it out of the sea with
It's
some
screech.
algae. Yeah,
That's what they call it.
and you have to take a shot of that. And you and I are not shot guys or even drinker guys. And bam, with the hat, and then you say the poem, and you're screeched in. You get a certificate. It's quite the ritual. We
We
learned that.
got off lucky because they used to make you kiss a cod, a frozen cod out of the freezer.
I just had to kiss a stuffed puffin.
Puffin, yeah, because they apparently something with the frozen cod. We can't do that anymore. But you talk to judges that have been there previously and had to kiss the cod, they're like, that was that was the worst.
Puffins are adorable little stuff. This was not a stuffed puffin, not a lot. This was a toy. I
A
didn't
stuffed
go get a
animal.
puffin and gut it and put stuffing in there and make it. That's different. This is a stuffy toy, and that was just
Sure, those are some cute though, aren't they? Those
they
puffins.
are.
If you're from, those are some cute. Those are right cute.
Yeah, right. And I had to, of course, go first, and where everybody listened. After a while, no one was really paying attention but I had to be the first clown to get up there and do it, which was fine. The people were great. How about Patrick Mudge and Walter, huh?
Oh, there, yeah. Patrick, those both
Great
those
guys.
guys, they run a set of shows in New Brunswick as well. They've a huge property where they hold these shows, and Patrick and Walter do all the cooking for the judges. It's amazing. I had such a good time.
Patrick did such a great job putting this together. And Tracy, too, from CKC. So this
Tracy
is a
Kent.
combined effort of CKC and the Canadian Dog Judge Association. And it was 2 days and seminars from dusk to dawn. When you think about those breed seminars, I had to do mine I did a pointer seminar without pointers because there weren't any pointers to be found. But to think that, by the way, those Pekingese, Will, that
Oh,
bitch
David
just
Kellen
took
and
my
yeah, and
breath
Tammy
away.
were there, and yeah, they were
Man, I
terrific.
learned more about Pekingese that I can't even believe. It's a different perspective, an interesting perspective. It was terrific. And of course, Michael Woods with the Labs was phenomenal. Um, and we had some great Shih Tzus there too. I mean, you wouldn't think that
Oh, that one Shih Tzu was on the table. She almost caught you were going to take her home.
I almost, she was the cutest damn thing. She was flat on the table, looking at us with her chin on the table, but her tail never stopped wagging.
And if
She
it
was,
did, it'd slow down for a second. Then she'd see one of us looking at her, and she'd
yeah,
she was
so
so cute.
cute. But when you think about it, there were dogs from those four breeds that could win anywhere in the world.
Beat anywhere. Those labs that came in with Michael, oh my God, they were unbelievable, you know.
And quite a few of them had come down to Westminster, or their national specialty, I should say, and gone winners dog or won it.
Well, the one dog we saw had won the breed at Westminster last year.
Yep. And the
He's
peak
a
was best
local
winners.
rock dog.
And think about how hard it is to get them off the rock throw to a dog show.
Yep.
Newfoundland is the most eastern point in North America, and it's 3 hour flight to Toronto just to get going. And those bush pilots, they must be because they fly through this weather that I couldn't even believe through the fog and didn't bother them at all. But it's a remote place and a gorgeous, just one of the most beautiful places you'll ever see. Highly recommend it. St. John's out on the end. But the flight miles from this is how much of a nerd I am, Will. The flight miles from St. Louis to St. John's, because I thought that would be cute, right? Is 1,974 miles. The distance from St. John's to Shannon Airport in Ireland is 1,943. So we're talking about a 30-mile difference between. So that's how far east you are. You're closer to Ireland than you are St. Louis. It's so cool. Places, but the seminar was great, and they did such a great job of organizing it. I know Tracy is fastidious and put us all through some very specific requirements. It worked.
Yeah.
And
Well, if it was the
with Don Daly,
Patrick pulled it off. I was he the work Patrick put in. He'd been speaking to me throughout the year. He was really nervous. This was his baby, you know, and it came off the best.
I think, and the CKC was thrilled.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of uncertainty when you're going out that far.
Oh, sure.
But Patrick was, I mean, they just did a great job. And by the way, Dawn Dealey.
Oh, Dawn, yeah, her
presentation on the bully
presentation on
breeds.
that. Yeah, that was a good one. She was so much fun this trip though, too. We hung out with
We
her.
had a good time. We had a great time. There was a lot of dinners with Dawn and Will and Cheryl, my wife Cheryl and I. She came along, and yeah, it was phenomenal. I really had a good time and learned a whole lot about the Rooms Museum, one of the best museums I've been to in a long time, the Native Museum there in St. John's. So altogether, it was a great trip, educational for sure. Met some people that I will long admire and met some new friends forever. It was just terrific. So yeah,
I think we should go back and just hang out for a week or so.
yeah, hats off. They're awesome. Oh, definitely. I'd love to do that. Maybe when it's less foggy.
Well, I don't know if it's ever less foggy.
And they have this. This is another country that has the same language as us, but you can't necessarily understand all of it if you're talking
If
to
they
them.
get going talking too fast, you don't know what they're saying.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Dem dares do's does.
Yeah.
But good stuff. And anyway,
Tree. Telephone number. Tree.
yeah. And for the cab, they just had pictures of trees instead of saying three.
Yeah. So it's
They
like
just
677. Tree.
little pine trees. That's how they had it on the cab. The I got home as you did. I think we got home the same day, and I unpacked and packed and left for Florida to the Toller National. And I have to say that it was an exhausting thing to do, changing time zones and trying to just get your head around what you just learned and then taking off again. And I really was crabby about, man, I don't feel like going down there and doing this.
Well, I know. The last day you were talking about it in Newfoundland. Oh, now I've got to go do this. Oh, why did I? Why am I? Oh.
I had the best time down there. I loved every second of it. Deb Gibbs, man, I can't say enough about her. She did an amazing job as the judge's education coordinator. She was terrific. Adam King was on safari, so he wasn't there, but he hooked me up with he said, these are the people you need to meet and talk to. Christine Jones and from Canada, and it was phenomenal. Her presentation, so I went for the seminars and to observe and
Oh,
whatever.
Christine did the presentation?
No,
Oh.
Deb Gibbs did. But Christine I went and found her. Adam said, go find her. And we had a wonderful little sidebar and got to see some great dogs. It seemed to me that almost everyone that my eye went to went back to Deb Gibbs' dog. She seems to have really gotten this shape down. Boy, it's an incredible breed. I didn't really think much of them, quite truthfully, until I met them. And
well, and they've come so far. I remember when I was a kid and we'd see them, they were, I don't want to say an afterthought, but they were not something that you were going to think were going to place in the group at that point. Right. Now they're a threat every group they walk in.
Some really good ones and super temperaments and just fun to watch. This was at the Ocala Dog Show Club grounds, which is a Canine Chronicle sponsored place with a hard top. It's where we had the Beagle National that Eddie judged, I believe.
Okay.
Pretty sure. Well, you didn't miss anything, but we love you, Eddie. But
I was sorry I missed it, Ed.
Yes, it was great to watch that judge. We had a good time, but the grounds are beautiful and the weather was perfect, which makes things really nice. And it was just a fun weekend. And I did ringside mentoring. Well, I received ringside mentoring both days from really good people. Terry, the president of the club, was great. Everybody was, and the dogs are beautiful. And I really did learn a lot. In the seminar, yes, I learned sidebars. Hey, come on, tell me the truth about this. The stuff you can't say, the stuff the AKC won't let you say at your seminar, I have a question about that. And that's where you learn stuff. A lot of interesting genetic information when it comes to that breed. And of course, I got to learn about their root breeds. And in that case, a lot of it's they just don't have the information, the history. So I did my anatomical approach to history. I'm like, why would they have black? Some of them have black around the edges of their ears. I know a breed that has that. Quakers. They toll also. So you just start to ask these questions, and you go, why are some real long in the rear pasture and thin boned? Where's that coming from? And then you just they say beagles, are in there. I can see that in some of their temperament, maybe. Yeah. But cool stuff.
Maybe even the trailing hound, the tolling action of their tail,
Right, which is so important. Yeah. When you see that shape, I gotta tell you, Will, just like every seminar, there's always a few people that just ask the stupidest questions. You almost want to say, you know what? You're wonderful. You're wonderful. I'm sure you're going to be a fine judge someday. But you should probably leave now because you're never going to get this breed, ever. You're never, ever going to get it if you're asking those questions. But, they stay long enough, they get their 3 points. So,
no check mark.
Check. But it really is it's near impossible to go to all the nationals. I happen to have some time and money to do it. But if you're expected to go to the nationals on all the breeds you judge, it's going to cost you a fortune. I had to fly from Florida to Detroit to Kalamazoo, there and back, obviously. I had to rent a car when I got there because I was all over the place. And I had to have a hotel room, which is beautiful, 3 nights in the Hilton, where the base of the headquarter hotel was. And I had to eat, it's expensive. Well worth it as far as the education goes. I learned a lot, but to expect everybody to do that's it's a different story. So yeah, live and learn. But you didn't have to do that down here, did you, Will?
I knew where this was going. No, I did not. It's all yours, Wayne.
Well, there's been a lot of discussion, and I think this is the perfect team to talk about it. There he is over there, because Will is one. there's been, since the rule change in the beginning of 2023, we have Canadian judges have
Foreign
six,
judges.
or visiting judges, they call them, not foreign, because you're not a foreigner, Will. You're my buddy and my neighbor
I
across the
used to have
water.
a phone that said "Will America."
So visiting judges, and that is could be from any country. It seems to be the focus right now is on Canadian judges, uh, primarily because you can be here in a half hour. So, if you're going to Windsor and you're going across the border in Sarnia and Port Huron and all those places, Hamburg and wherever you else have, it's just not that far. You could go to a show on Saturday in Canada and a show on Sunday in America without any problem
I've
whatsoever.
done that. I've done that.
Yeah, I'm sure people have. So um, that's probably why it's the focus. And we're getting a whole lot of Canadians on the panels down here now. The rule change went from 8 shows a year to 16
Yeah, days. Not so much shows, days.
days, right?
Yeah.
So you can be down there you can be here quite often. In addition to that, unlimited specialties, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can do as many specialties down here as you'd like. Um, Also, the rule, and this is an interesting part because no one's talking about this. I just happened to reread the rule about 100 times last night. If you've been here, if you've done that for 5 years, if you've judged here 6 times in 5 years, you can apply to be an AKC judge. So you don't have to go through all the hoops.
But yeah,
Even
but are they still going to make you go back and start again if you apply to be an AKC judge after 5 or 6 years?
it didn't sound like it to me, but we need to get clarification from the office. But didn't sound like it to me at all. You did have to apply and go through a process of some sort, or is it a process? I guess it's a process. So if you're a Canadian down
Process cheese,
here,
process cheese.
when you when you come down here, do you have to go through the AKC process? And if I go up there, do I take the Canadian process? I'm not sure. Better along those. It's very confusing.
Yeah.
Newfoundland,
Newfoundland,
understand. Labrador.
Labrador.
Anyway, so what's happened is American judges are complaining that, hey, we had to fly to Ocala for 3 grand to take a Nova Scotia duck tolling retriever seminar, and Will didn't. We have to get 10 points, 1,000 points of light, whatever it is, in every breed. And then we have to get observed 3 times. But I believe you have to get observed too when you come
We do,
down.
yeah.
Yeah. We have to take breed tests. You have to take breed
But it's
tests.
just a hockey player that observes us. They just stand there at the corner in their hockey stick and go, "What's that boy doing out there?"
And all that. So there are American judges that are hostile, or at least tense, saying, "Hey, they're taking our jobs," and they don't have to do all the things we do. I get that. I'm one of them. I don't love that the process allows judges to come down here and not do what we do because they live a half hour away. But it has nothing to do with the quality of judging, and I can't stress that enough. No, at least the people at
Well,
least
it's
me.
an individual comparison, really, because
Yes.
we have good judges everywhere. We have not so good judges everywhere. Some are
We
good,
have, as
some are
I
bad.
learned up there, you have great dogs up there and great judges, and you
Yeah.
have bad dogs and bad judges. We happen to have great dogs and great judges, and really bad dogs and really bad judges too. The scale is the difference, right?
Right.
There's only 200 and some members of the Canadian Dog Judges Association, and one half of them, slightly more than half, 51%, are all breed judges. So that's the tension. You know how many? We have 3,184 judges at AKC, 7 all-arounders.
Yeah.
So there's a difference there. So what happens now that we have 10 billion shows down here? We need judges. We need judges that have more than 1, 2, 3, 4 groups. Where do you go for that? There's 118 of them in Canada,
Yeah.
at least 118. Those are just the CDGA members. So yeah, it's what clubs do. Whose fault is that? Is the judge's fault? No. Is the CKC's fault? Absolutely not. Is the AKC's fault? Well, the only reason it could be, it's not, but The only reason it could be is because the systems that we have are unique to our countries because of the population and density of our countries. You need 50% of your judges to be all breed judges,
Oh, there's no question.
but you'd never have a dog show, right?
Couldn't afford it because our dog shows on average 300 to 500 dogs.
Exactly.
You can
And
remember our population. Texas has more people, and there's more population in Texas than there is in Canada. Like,
yeah, and the difference between that is people are scattered all over Texas. In Canada, they live along the border
right.
and the coasts. So, it's a concentrated population as well. And it's
Because
a
it's a
powerful,
barren tundra wasteland northern than that.
very good one too. We're great, and there's some great judges that have come from there. Wendy Paquette being one of them, right?
Yeah.
And the prairies. But
She's
yeah,
she's from northern Ontario, Wendy Paquette.
oh, I thought she was way up.
No, no, northern Ontario. She's in Sudbury. It's way up there. No, it's not that
Not
far.
that far up. I thought she was out in the middle of nowhere. Anyway, so we've got these systems, two systems collide. So whose fault is it? In my opinion, it's the clubs who hire the judges. If they look and say, "Why, we can get this Canadian to do all of our groups and spread them everywhere over the weekend," why wouldn't we hire them? Probably because you haven't done your research in defining what their reputations are, what their background is, and what their education is. That's not their fault for accepting.
No.
It's your fault for inviting them.
But
And
that can be said in America as well.
absolutely, I was just going to say that. Same exact thing is true in America. We've got multi-group judges here who get hired a lot that may not be very good. They've just ticked a lot of boxes and are real good at traveling around, going to get the CEUs. So one thing's for certain. If the AKC's rigorous system of all these CUs and perfect forms, and you can't cross the T the wrong way, or whatever it is, all these tedious things. If you don't have an eye for a dog, none of that means a damn thing, Will.
Exactly.
None of it. If you're in Canada,
Canadian.
as Peter likes to call it, right? If you're in Canada, and you don't have an eye for a dog, and you get an all breed ticket, doesn't matter if you passed your hurdles as low as they may be compared to ours. It doesn't matter. And my best example of that is England. 20, it's 26 or 8 all breed championship shows.
That's
That's
it.
how many number of times you get to get a CC in an all breed show. And for those who don't know, you need CCs are like, you hate CCs aren't like majors. You can get a major by beating 3 dogs. CCs are higher clout for sure, but you need them to become a champion, right?
CCs,
So,
you beat champions to get your CCs.
big difference, and hundreds of them. So when you only have a limited number of shows like England does, you're going to get giant breed entries in every breed. Every breed's going to have 100 of them, 300 of them, 50 of them, 75 of them, 20, whatever it is, we'll never get except for a handful of shows. Every championship show over there is going to draw big because it's all you got, right?
Right.
So they don't need multi-group judges. They have enough breed entries where they can get breed specialists. So you just don't need, you need more all breed judges. We need more multi-group judges. They need more breed specialists. If we had bigger breed entries, we wouldn't need the system we have. We have a system, we have the tail wagging the dog. The tail is the number of shows we have. So the rules have to be created to please the dog. That's our judging approval system based on the number of entries we have. Right. So it's the chicken and the egg, or is it the horse and the wagon? What comes first? The Irish setter or the cow? I don't remember. Whatever it is, it's determined by things that we can control, but choose not to. So we're stuck with what we have. Now, are there English judges that you would kill to have, well, not kill, that you would be very eager to have come over here and judge your show? Of course. Are the Canadian judges that you love? Michael Woods can come judge for me any day, as could Jim Reynolds and Wendy Big. And I'm missing 1,000, right? Bob and Elaine. So there's so many people. but there are bad ones too. And yes, they accelerate. The other thing that becomes a tension for AKC judges is you can be an all breed judge in 12 to 15 years. And it might take us that long to get one group. So that's another conflict. Again, is that Canadian judges' fault? No. CKC's fault? No. They have a system that suits their number of shows and geography. But you have to know when you're hiring people.
No, that's
Never,
what it comes down to. It comes down to education. I tell people when people come to me to complain about certain judges over and over again, I said, you need to do your homework.
mhm.
Don't go. Don't
Yep.
go. If you know, oh, we have to go. It's the only show in town. So there is that aspect. But you need to do your head. I've gone to shows where I've missed the middle day.
Yeah.
The way it
Yeah.
goes.
Or you go in there knowing you might not have a great chance, but you win anyway. So
Right.
you can't play it that way either. But to complain about it, I get it. Judge comes down here from Canada who may be a specialist in toys, but but happens to have all the groups. They put him in the sporting group ring and they completely bomb. And everyone says every Canadian judge stinks. And that's unfair. But it's also really unfair at the club hire those people, right?
It all comes down to research and education. It really does.
Systems are not rigged by those putting them together necessarily. They're created to fulfill the need, and the need is based on the number of breed entries. And the
Exactly.
number of breed entries is based on the number of dog shows. That simple, Will. It's that simple.
Well, we have some Canadian judges in some remote areas that probably haven't judged a breed of a bigger entry than 10.
Yeah.
And like, how are they expected like that? But it comes back to you get out of it what you put into it. If you're that serious about judging tollers, well, you need to go talk to toller people and go to nationals or regionals, and it may not be a mandate for us up here, but I think it's important that if you are taking your job seriously as a dog show judge, that this is what you do, especially if you come from a group that is so far different from, say, a toller group, the sporting group. You need to educate yourself. If you're willing to take that test, which is once you're at that point, if you've had 3 or 4 tests, test taking is we figured out is relatively easy. It's not easy, but
Oh, it's
you
easy. It's an
know,
open book test. Come on. It's an open book test.
but
Great.
like we talked about before, about giving a book of standards to a young man or a young woman in Tim Hortons, they're going to pass without seeing a dog. And in some regards, that happens in certain breeds up here. You pass a test without ever seeing a Spinoni.
Yep.
Well,
It's interesting. If you do judge down here and it's a breed that is not recognized by the CKC, you have to pay your $35, of course, and take the test at the AKC test, right?
right. Yeah.
Like when you come down, that happened to you, right? There was a breed that you
Yeah, but I
didn't.
didn't have to do it because it's a certain percentage that if they have people on the panel that can judge those breeds the day I was doing the group, I'm approved to judge that group, but not that breed. So
It must be nice, Will. And this is why AKC judges get pissed off. I mean, upset because of now. With that said, wouldn't you want to have Will judge your show compared to some Americans that went through all the hoops and tests and were overachievers and got 17 points in their 10-point breeds, but still couldn't find a dog that bit them in the ankle?
ankle.
I mean, it's so undefinable.
Yeah,
And it's a
it's
topic that's going to live on forever. It has accelerated greatly since the change from 8 to 16. Why do you think they did that, Will?
because they needed the judges.
Exactly.
Needed the judges.
Exactly. We don't have enough multi-group judges for the clubs to stay alive and make money. My ruthless feeling about that is you can't afford to put on a dog show with good judges. Don't have a dog show. It's okay. We don't have dinosaurs anymore. They're extinct. I'm pretty happy with that uh, because otherwise going out would be really difficult.
That'll make it difficult. Can't go out there. The Raptors are out there.
That's right. Be careful of the Raptors. But And maybe there's some dog clubs and they would hate me saying this. They do hate me saying this. But if you can't cut it, if you have to hire an all breed judge from Canada to do your show, your whole show, yeah,
Well, if your numbers are so insignificant that you need to have multi-group judges to put on a dog show, I don't know.
well, I do
Up
know.
here we have to. There's no question. It's just
Don't have a show in. You have no choice. We have a choice here. Springfield and Grays Lakes has shows the same day when you were down there, right? So you split the entry. So make the distance farther apart.
well, it happens up here too, and it not to the same degree, but we have some shows that are on the same weekend within 4 or 5 hours, and
Right.
then if one show dies a natural death because they can't survive, they get propped up. I hate that when they get propped up because the moment they sign the death certificate on that show, the show opposite grows stronger. And I think the competition grows stronger. The depth becomes better. You're not watered down as much because we all have to go there now instead of, oh, let's go here because Wayne's judging here and Will's over here. I don't want to show to him, so I'm going to show to him. But if Will was the only game in town, I'm gonna get an entry.
Yeah, it's absolutely true, Will, and it proves the process, right? Is it new that you have shows closer together now, or is it
No, we've
just
always had them. They're not so like we've always had two circuits in the summer against each other, Sarnia and Peterborough circuit. And at one point, Peterborough just couldn't hold itself up, and Sarnia was at one point was an 800 dog show. It's because it was right across the border, so we had a huge American entry, and it was a fun show to go to. I think a show popped up in America on that side that weekend, so it cut our entry, and Sarnia started to dwindle. But then Peterborough did as well. But then Peterborough was propped up, and Sarnia was strong for a little bit. Then it went back down to being two mediocre 200 dog shows, 300 dog shows.
we're never going to learn our lesson, are we? You want dates? We got dates. They don't have to be far from the other show. We got dates. You can have another 10 shows. But to do that, we're going to need a whole lot more judges.
But then
And
the parent club still makes the money they want to make, so it
yeah,
doesn't.
yeah, it can take it takes a lifetime to become a multi-group judge here. By the way, can you name our seven? I think it's seven all breed judges
Charlie Olvis,
and Liz.
hmm?
Charlie and
Liz,
mhm.
they're both all breed. Is Dana all breed?
Yep.
Um, I'm trying to think of some have retired, so you can't count them.
No, you can't. We have two that are inactive.
Well, there's two that are inactive.
Paul Hartinger is one of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
John Cole
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see John Cole. Yeah.
and Miss Elkown.
Who? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Trotter.
Yeah, for sure.
So, did I say Steve Keating? Yes. So it's
Steve is all breed.
hmm?
Steve Keating is all breed.
Yeah. There's plenty like Kim Meredith. It's this close,
Yeah.
and they hold out on these things because they don't want to. There's somebody else they don't want to give all breed ticket to, so no one gets them. You don't think Kim could go through terriers and figure it out? You know. On the other hand, we've got 3,184 judges, and I would love to know how many of them judge. I'll bet if you don't have at least three groups, I would venture to guess, this is a wild guess,
Sure.
that judges that have three groups do 80% of the judging. I wouldn't be surprised.
I agree with you. That's what's going to be used. They need them.
We just don't have the entries anymore to support breed specialists, or people would just come in and do half a dozen breeds. The only time you see that is when they're provisionals. And they're looking, and you can, that's the thing about clubs. They also like provisionals because they just charge per dog and they'll pay our expenses or whatever, and save a couple of bucks there. But also, the clubs that do. Tim Catterson's really good at doing that, and as a result, he gets a real good panel of provisionals. But he picks good provisionals, Will. and he's able to put a big panel together, lots of judges for a average sized dog show. That gives you diversity of opinions. It's a learning experience. You get to see who's good at this and who's not. We need more clubs to hire professionals, and otherwise, you're never going to get them their assignment because you have to have, I think, 3 assignments in each breed before you can apply for regular status in those breeds. And all this comes down to this, Will. There's 200 breeds. No one, including Ann Clark, ever thought she was an expert in all the breeds.
Exactly.
Would tell you so. No one. But you need them anyway to fill our current system of dog shows. They do not need that in England because they have far fewer shows with far bigger entries. They also have a different geography size, right?
Right.
You can get one in England without that big of a problem. But if you're stuck in Oklahoma, or not stuck, if you live in Nebraska, Oklahoma, somewhere, Wyoming, where the population isn't much, you do have to drive farther to shows. That's a result of your population, and you can't pull them
And
up.
if you hunted over there, nothing is really that far away. Other countries are not that far away if you want to go show somewhere. So
True. Yeah, that's true. Absolutely true. I remember a friend of mine drove to Hungary from Ireland to get a puppy and said, "Oh yeah, we went through 6 countries in one day." So yeah, it's a different deal for sure. And you do get a lot of European dogs now with the passport, the pet passport, going to shows like Crufts and things. But yeah, it's a different world. I don't think the debate's going to go away.
no.
And by the way, Mexico isn't too far either for that part of the United States. And you get a lot of judges from Latin America and Mexico coming as well. I don't know their qualifications process system. I think they
I
have to
don't
be.
know that either. Maybe we should delve into that and find
Yeah,
out. It may vary.
but
I'm sure it varies from kennel club to kennel club, but
the good part, I happen to be a fan of visiting judges for several reasons. One, you get a different perspective on how they see that breed, and the breed may be different in their country. Two, a diversity of opinions is a good thing for judging panels, but more important for breeds because you're giving those different opinions. And three, they don't necessarily read the magazines, Will. They don't give a hoot. The Canadians and Mexicans probably do. But you get someone from Finland, you think they give one crap about whether somebody's number one or number two or has a lot of ads?
they don't.
And that's when the big fish drown, right? And people are like, can you believe they beat the most number one doobie da in the world in the breed? Yeah, I can because he never was any good. And there was a real good breed representative in there. And that guy breeds those in Switzerland really, he's got great ones over there. So we need that. We need that. It's a matter of how much and when and who.
Exactly.
It's a matter of who. And I've seen panels where I look at them and go, these 8 judges may have obviously ticked all the boxes. And I wouldn't necessarily myself bring any dog to any of them for opinion on evaluating my breeding stock. I might go for a ribbon, but I wouldn't go for an opinion on evaluating my breeding. And I guess it's come to that. We in America and in Canada, uh, because of the numbers, you go to get ribbons more often than you go to get a opinion on how you should breed your dogs. It's a big difference.
And so true. It's hard for some handlers or exhibitors in smaller areas to put things in perspective. But it's hard for them to go from winning the group every day to going into a bigger show, say anywhere in Canada or America, and not being able to win the breed. It's really hard on them. But it also opens up their eyes, and they learn from that as well. Like I know that I had this conversation with a friend of mine not too long ago, where as a youngster he showed dogs for his parents, and his parents bred some really good dogs, and he was winning all the time. Well, now he's on his own. He's starting up his breeding program again, and the judge part of him knows, well, I wouldn't have put my dog in that cut either. But the kid part of him, his ego, was like, I always won. What's happening?
Yeah.
So he's got to it's a new perspective for him. And when we talked rationally about it, he understood completely. But there was this little kid inside him that wanted to stamp his feet because he wasn't winning, because he always won before. Well,
Mm-hmm. In Canada, when we were up in Newfoundland, there was talk, and I didn't really ever get a clarification. They kept talking about two kinds of judges and two kinds of processes. I didn't know we don't have that division here, but they were talking about handler judges and
Oh,
breeder.
yeah, yeah. How you would apply? How you would you apply from the breeder's end of it, where you had to have breed for so many years and produce so many champions? But then we have the other aspect of the handlers that some of them didn't breed at all, but they showed dogs for 60 years, like a Harold Butler. Um, how do they accept them?
Yeah, we don't make that differentiation. Uh, so you have to. That's what you got. You got to. You have to play within the system.
Well, I
You're.
think we had a little group chat about that, and we thought the breeding was very important because there's a lot of handlers that are involved in their clients' breeding programs. You just might not be on paper, so you had to, it was a gray area, you had to figure it out. Because there's some, let's face it, look, I remember, there's some, I can't think of them right now, but I guess because Gene and Bob, they bred dogs as well.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
And they ran the breeding programs
Mrs.
for
Clark did, yeah.
barrels and yeah.
Yeah, so the programs they ran for the breeders, they had the clients, did their names go on those dogs? I don't know. Like I know when George was running the Airedale kennels and whatnot, and he did all the breedings, but it wasn't George Ward bred, you know.
We had, and it wasn't like we just called Bob and Jane called the shots or the Farrell Smooths, famous Smooths. We had them there. We did the breeding. We whelped the puppies. We raised them. We trained them.
Yeah.
It's not like they just said, "Yeah, breed that to that." They were really involved, like feet, 4 feet, yeah, all feet's on the ground involved.
But it's like you look now, so many handlers are involved in breeding their own dogs now. It's
Yeah,
because they're not enough breeders sometimes now that breed dogs that breed well enough. They want to be competitive, so they end up breeding their own breed, so they stay competitive.
I mentioned this before, but the danger is handlers that have never bred dogs. I'll make it a question. Do they put too much emphasis on the show dog part, the grooming and training and trimming part?
No question,
Uh,
they do.
they have to. They have to. Uh,
Until they reach a certain age.
absolutely. Absolutely. No, I agree with you, Will.
Yeah,
Yeah.
until they
I
go, oh,
think,
wait a second.
mhm. I
And my
think,
dog stands there four square, but doesn't look like a
yeah.
Milton Hound dog. You know,
We got to start breeding some Milton Hound dogs.
Milton Hound dogs?
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. We found them in another country and imported them. We discovered them in Lithuania.
And they're root breeds. We could,
They're,
root breed could be the neighbor's dog across the road.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And name it something that sounds foreign. I love it. Yeah, it can happen. But, you know, if so, their handlers have a good eye for a show dog,
You're right.
right? And there are handlers that have a good eye for a dog, and there is a difference.
No question.
So, do those handlers look for show dogs, not good breed representatives? Because why wouldn't they? They won with those for 50
And
years.
they're so talented now in grooming them and training them that they can almost make whatever they want to make.
Yep.
And I've had this conversation with the younger handlers, and they brought dogs for me and say, "What do you think of this dog?" I'd say, "What about this?" Well, I can change that. Well, what about this? Well, I can trim this. And I said, "Why not start off with a nice canvas and
Yeah.
then do your art?" You know, 'cause then it's icing on the cake. You know?
Because they want to win ribbons and be number one.
Then they just they see it happening. I think they can do it. So
Are there handlers that never bred dogs that are hyper focused on performance and flash and show dogs that eventually, by being at shows and talking to judges, figure it out? Of course there
of
are.
course there are. Of
But those
course there are.
first years, those first years can be iffy. And speaking of English judges, here's the theory: because they are more breed specialists, do they hyper focus on the features of type in pieces and not judge the whole dog and give more or forgive more in soundness? I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't
that's an interesting question because you do find like we all realize that we have 2 minutes to judge these dogs, and sometimes the total package might outdo a dog that has an exceptional headpiece because a performance because of
Mhm.
whatever. And then we like to see it doesn't come into play, but when you're out there and you have 2 minutes a dog, walks like a duck, it talks like a duck, it's probably a duck.
Yeah.
But I find you do find some foreign judges that delve deeper and will maybe judge longer and get themselves in trouble that aspect of it, timing wise, and they'll come up with something. And are they wrong? Because we're abiding by our rules of 2 minutes a dog or whatever it is in each country. Whereas sometimes I so and so from Slovenia is still judging. We can't do the group because he still won't because he's maybe being more thorough than we are and not caring about the time restraints.
Yeah. I had someone, a person I'm really enjoying talking about
Sometimes they're
dog.
just lost and they wander around, take up too much time. But
That's true too.
there's two.
I had a great conversation with a woman who I really enjoy talking dogs with. And where she said the three phases of judging article that I wrote a while ago. Um, and maybe it's the way I wrote it, but she thought, and understandably, that I meant when you finish this phase, you got into this phase, and then when you finish this phase, you got, and it's the whole dog, the type, and the eye for a dog thing, and that was it. And I thought about it. I said, I didn't intend. I maybe I wrote that. I did not intend it that way because I myself, honest admissions, can tell you, and any good dog judge who's vulnerable and honest will tell you, I've had days where I overdid the whole dog thing, and I've had days where I overdid the type thing. You forgive more in type some days, and you're more into, damn it, I'm so sick of these dogs not being able to move properly, that maybe subconsciously, not consciously, you shift towards, you know what, I know that's an ugly head and it needs better type here and better type features here and there, but man, he just went around the ring real well, and that's going to do it today because all the good ones were crippled, right? Or I'm so tired of these generic dogs. There's one that can't walk at all, but man, that head and tail is going to do it for me. Do we subconsciously swing that way? Yeah, I believe we do,
No question.
honestly said. So it's not a fixed thing. You can even do it within a day. You can even do it in a specialty. You can certainly do it if you have enough to do it from. All your earlier classes have bad fronts. That's it for fronts for the rest of the day. You're
Yeah,
not going to
you
put
start
any of
setting
those
the
up.
trend and you're getting angry
Yeah.
about it. So
Right. As a breeder, you're going to do that, right? But let's hope we don't do it often. And when we do, it's not a big deal. But to be honest, any good judge will tell you on the way home, they went, man, I should have switched that third and fourth. Every judge will do that. Any
no
good judge will do that. So
question
we're
themselves.
not perfect, except,
Yeah.
you and me.
They'll learn. They'll learn. It's a show, Jerry.
All right, young William. Uh, I've got
Oh,
place
did
to
you,
go.
you see what I was wearing?
I did.
Seattle
Seattle
Metropolitan.
Metropolitans, otherwise known as the Kraken now.
You know, the Kraken now, but back in 1915, they were the Seattle Metropolitans.
That's right. We had to get some hockey in, folks. Tis the season. Connor Bernard is absolutely amazing to watch skater. Yeah, they're triple teaming him and making it difficult for the poor kid and running him in the boards when they can. But man, that kid has speed.
Marchand finally outweighs somebody, so he drills him into the boards.
Yeah, true. But man, he can skate and he can shoot and he
Oh,
knows where to be. He's just so much fun to watch. It's so exciting when we get players like that to come on the scene. And with any luck, he won't do the Austin Matthew things where he take a couple of years off and then comes back and plays. And he'll
God,
skate more like it.
talking about
Did
40
you,
goals a year is nothing to sneeze at.
did he just have three hat tricks in a row or something, Austin Matthews?
Two
Or
hat
something?
tricks in a row. Yeah. But
Yeah,
Connor Bedard, he did. I got to say this story. He's such a good Canadian boy that he was signing autographs, and this kid walked up to him with a Montreal Canadiens jersey. He said, "Oh, I can't sign a Habs jersey."
it's great. Good man. Good man. And of course, Austin Matthews being a good, American from Phoenix. That's why he's so talented too. The judges across the border, the players across the border. Hey, if I move to Canada, what happens to me? Can I get an Aubrey ticket in 10 years?
You have to become. I guess you'd have to apply in Canada and become a Canadian citizen. Well, aren't you already an Irish citizen?
Yeah.
Why don't you go to Ireland and get your ticket?
Yeah. Maybe I should do that. Well, when I'm over there, they let me judge whatever the hell I want.
There you go. See,
So yeah,
tree, 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 tree.
they treat me
You'll be turned. You'll be turdy turd.
dirty turd. That's right. These downstairs are some good dogs there, William. Uh, well,
Wasn't it interesting with Michael? Because when you meet Michael Woods at like New York last year, you get a sense of his accent, just a touch. But when he's on the island,
yes, it comes alive, doesn't it?
yeah,
Boy, that was my discovery of the weekend, I think. I knew all the other ones were as good as they were or as smart as they were, but boy, Michael really he really made an impression on me. What a
oh,
good guy.
his Labrador presentation,
Labrador.
Labrador, yeah,
But
yeah,
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 great, wasn't it?
and it was
And,
fabulous,
and the best part was he was passionate about where this breed came from.
right?
It was not England, damn it. It was from Labrador
From Newfoundland,
and Newfoundland.
yeah,
Yeah.
from Newfoundland. So,
By the way, Newfoundland was a country until 1949. I know you're all dying to know that before it became a province in Canada. It was its own country. Did you know that?
no,
I'm serious.
no.
Yeah, I'm serious. Yeah.
How come Wendy didn't do that talk about that when she gave the history of Newfoundland to us
She
before
missed
she
it.
screeched you in?
No, she did mention it. She did mention it.
Oh,
Yeah. And then it was something to do with a British something too, but we don't Brits. But they held it for a while as a something. But yeah, it was a country, and then it had three lives as a British something and a country, and they had their own little Brexit in 1949.
oh,
Uh, Decided to
not
join
aware of
you
that.
guys.
Not
Yeah,
aware of that, Wayne.
see that? Well, I could pass the citizenship test in Canada, maybe. But do you know where Kalamazoo is, Will? That's the
I
big
do.
test. Well,
I
then you
drove right by it this week. I even said
then,
to my traveling companion Tori, "That's where Wayne and Cheryl live."
yes, but I was in Ocala.
They were gone.
Uh, hey, just one quick thing on a great guy. Steve Herman, not involved in tollers, happens to live by. This is a multi-group judge who judges everywhere, and he's real good at it. He's a lovely guy. He's just a great friend. I love being where he is. We have a good time together. He was stewarding for the Toller Club. He just called them and said, "Hey, I don't live far. You guys need a hand?" I mean, how cool is that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It was great. We need to be that passionate about the sport to do stuff like that.
If I
Not,
called the club and said that, well, come and park the cars then, Will.
yeah,
Here,
yeah.
put this orange vest on, get out there in the cold.
I called one and they said, "No, we really don't want you anywhere near the building." So anyway, he caused too much stir. Anyway, hey, you did some what do they call them? Well, the selfies.
Oh yeah, when I was in Springfield, I had a couple podcast fans come and recognize me and ask if they could get a picture with Wayne, or Will, or whoever I was.
That's right. Which one are you again?
But it was fun. And the one girl said, "Oh, my friend's gonna be so jealous because when I found out you were here." I think she thought I was Elvis.
I think she might. You probably did. I get the voice recognitions. This is my third one. Woman sitting next to me for a while, and all of a sudden she goes, "Wait a second, your voice sounds familiar. You Wayne Cavanaugh from the podcast?" And I said, "No, I'm Will Alexander." And so I signed the autograph, Will
Yeah,
Alexander.
best wishes. Best
Best.
wishes.
Well, I put best fishes actually,
Oh, okay.
because Newfoundland, but best fishes, Will. So it all worked out. Anyway, all right, buddy. We have a social event today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't do well with those, Will. I don't do well with those.
I'm sure you'll be fine.
I,
You tend to pull off any occasion.
I can get up for the moment and give the talk, but then I need a nap.
Oh, I told everybody when I grew up, I want to be Wayne Cavanaugh.
It was really fun to do that. And I just love being up there and doing it too. It was so much fun. Hats off to the CKC and the CDJ and Patrick Mudge especially and Tracy for putting together this incredible program. I wish we could have something like it right here in the US of A. We have enough dog shows. We could just put them all together and
Exactly.
an annual conference. Oh, Orlando's coming up.
It is.
It's going to be fun. I signed up for all the seminars, even though I'm not sure I can go to any of them because I'm judging. And I'm just hoping there's a hole in the judging program where I can sneak up and go to one.
Oh, good.
I want to go to them that badly, where I signed up for them and paid, even though maybe I can't make them. Are you going down, Will?
Undecided yet. I've got to decide. So
I would go down just to take the seminar where it's comparing Lakelands to Welsh. That alone for me.
oh, who's doing that one?
And even though I probably won't do Terriers for another 20 years, I don't know, but it's got to be great, right? Who
Yeah.
would want to see that? Yeah, I love going to seminars, even if it's a breed I'm never going to judge. I just want to know. You never know. You might do
More
best in
education.
show.
Right?
Yeah, you might do best in show one day, and something walks in your ring, and you want to know what the hell you're talking about.
It's true.
How to go over it, whatever else. All right, I've said enough. Peace be with you, brother.
All right, everybody out there, stay safe, and Wayne and I will see you down the road.
Party on, Gert.
No way.
Way.
Better be paying attention, Doc.
Thanks, Will. Thanks.
So Ernie can use this in the blooper reel.
That's right. We love you, Ernie.
Don't put that in, Ernie.
Quit taking yourself so damn seriously.
Some extraordinary data things that are being done around the world.
Thanks, Ernie.
We didn't mention hockey either. Isn't that unbelievable? Put that in, Doc.
Yeah, they let us see it in a blooper. This is good. We're going to be here in a second, Wayner.
Don't lose it, Doc.
Hot.
Use that one, Doc.
Don't use that one.